Let's talk about some of the wrong assumptions that people have about CRO. And some of those assumptions are very tactical and some of them are very strategic. At a very high level, I think one of the biggest wrong assumptions that I have is thinking that CRO is going to be the magic bullet, is going to be the magic wand that's going to solve all of the business problems. And this is something that I look for whenever a company, a CEO, a VP of marketing reaches out to us. I'm always probing and trying to understand where their business is. Every time I hear from somebody that their business is about to go bankrupt, things are absolutely horrendous, and they're coming to conversion optimization thinking that, oh my God, this is the one thing that is going to save my company and save my business, I walk away from them. And I tell them, listen, conversion optimization is an element of your marketing mix. It's a critical element. It doesn't make sense to do a whole lot of SEO. It doesn't make sense to do a whole lot of paid campaigns if you're driving a lot of eyeballs, a lot of visitors to your different assets, to your campaigns, to your website, to your landing pages, and then people are not converting. It's important for conversion optimization to play a role. Don't imagine that any of those activities, whether CRO or SEO or PPC, is going to come in and is going to just turn things inside out. Marketing is a flywheel. We all know that flywheel is very slow to move. The minute it moves, it becomes a lot easier to continue moving it and to speed it up. But that initial push, that initial string that you have to put is very hard. Another assumption that I hear, which you see until now, after 15 or 16 years of doing conversion optimization, is that the small changes that had humongous impact on the bottom line, you can blame lots of old CROs for that mistake, and you can blame some people who don't even know and don't even understand conversion optimization for that. So somebody saying, well, it's a small change on the website, but it's a big change in the mind of the visitor. It is so silly when people sometimes say this. I look at an A/B experiment. There's version A, the control, and I look at version B. And I'm staring at version B and I'm like, I can't really tell the difference. I take my magnifying glass and I'm looking through and I tell the person, you're making the assumption that your visitors, even if they're interested, they're spending a lot of time dissecting every single word on your website and every little change. And in your mind, as an optimizer or as a business owner or as a part of the marketing team, you're thinking you're making a huge change. But in order for that change to resonate with people, guess what? They have to notice it first. And if they don't notice it, it doesn't matter how good it is. They don't notice it. So it's not going to impact your bottom line. Silly things like the color of a CTA, small changes that people don't notice, making those and assuming that's going to have a big change. Those are just, they have their place, but they're not going to have the huge impact that people assume. Another wrong assumption, which again, for this one, I'm going to blame the old timers for, you respond to everything by, well, we should test this, we should test that, and we should test everything. If you're going to be testing everything, you're going to run out of bandwidth. That's just the reality. You cannot afford to test everything. Now, if you're a large company and you have hundreds of developers, you will get to that point. But if you're a small to medium-sized company, you need to be very conscious about what you are testing. You need to have a centralized process to get all the different testing ideas. Where did the insights for them come from? And then prioritize them, then run your experimentation, as opposed to, oh yeah, we'll test this. Oh yeah, we should test that. Oh, we should test this. I hear some consultants sometimes say, that's their response, especially in conferences, yes, you should test this, you should test that. And I always warn companies, if the response that the consultant tells you constantly, well, we should test this is a good idea, we should test it. Well, you probably shouldn't hire them. And instead, you should hire some developers and let those developers just write the A/B experiments and let's get it over with. Another wrong assumption, perhaps two wrong assumptions, but they're all kind of linked together, and we'll finish the 5 as you asked for. How much statistics do you need to know? So for this, there are two extremes. There's one extreme view in the industry that you really need to understand statistics in and out in order for you to run successful experimentation program. And I think it's funny when people focus on statistics so much because statistics gives us a sense of control. And humans, naturally, we're always looking to control things. Experimentation by its nature is giving up control to your visitors, correct? You have some assumptions of a particular problem, you make a hypothesis, you create a design, but you hand the control to your website visitors to judge the quality of that experiment. Handing control over is a very uncomfortable experience experience to humans. So what do? Well, the only thing that we can control is statistics. So people sometimes spend absolutely way too much time on statistics. You would feel that you need a PhD degree in order for you to run an experimentation program, which I think is very silly. You do need to understand statistics, but you don't have to have a PhD. And this comes from somebody who is a computer science major. This comes from somebody who has PhDs in statistics working with us. This comes from somebody who basically hires data analysts and data scientists. But I know the place that they play. The other extreme and the other 5 wrong assumption is that we don't really need to understand statistics at all. And people start making some rather laughable mistakes. And you look at them like, dude, basic statistics. I mean, I understand you don't have to have a PhD in statistics to run a CRO program, but you really need to understand probably about 4 or 5 hours worth of statistics. If you are going to run conversion optimization, you really need to understand some of those concepts. You don't have to know all the formulas on how to calculate the sample size. There's enough sample size calculators out there, but you should be able to understand the different inputs and should be able to put a meaningful explanation for these inputs. So when somebody asks you, you understand. You should be able to read the data, make sure that the data is not polluted when you are running experimentation. So that other extreme is very dangerous. Those are the last 2 wrong assumptions about conversion optimization that we'll finish with.